Hey guys, it's Jason Shadd here with SSi Racing Team, and today we're gonna do our best to help people with car setup and particularly brake bias. It's an ongoing debate on where to start, what's the best combination, all of those things. And sim racing, it's good in the sense that it provides you with the proper tools to be able to play with the different settings and things like that. So this is really for the application in the real world. How do you apply it in the real world? And in the real world, this is how we approach our initial take on setup. And so brake bias seems to be something that, at least in my experience, quite a few people overlook. They don't pay enough attention to it, or they make the adjustment in the wrong order. And again, this is just my opinion, but my opinion is take care as much as possible the balance between the front and rear braking under the proper operating temperatures, and then dial in your other things. If it's a downforce car, then you dial in the wings and then the tire pressure, and all of those things really should come after you've established a good baseline with the brake bias. So we've chose a car here that is, again, a little bit of an extreme example. It's going to be the 1986 Porsche 956 Short Tail. And that car has a lot of weight clustered in the rear. And so without further ado, let's get started. We're here in a 1986 Porsche 956 Short Tail. And the purpose of our journey today is to discuss the importance of brake bias. And for those of you that aren't familiar with brake bias, it is the comparison between the front and the rear brakes, the percentages that are utilized up front, the percentages that are utilized in the rear, and obviously that can change quite a bit based on the vehicle that you're in. So we're kind of using a little bit of an extreme example with this Porsche. It's an older Porsche. A lot of the weight is still clustered in the rear of the vehicle. And so I think some of the things that are slightly overlooked is to make sure that you have balanced braking. So we're going to go through the exercises that we go through. You may differ in opinion. That's totally fine. We're just sharing our opinion on how to best start the setup process, ensuring that you have equal braking under given conditions. That's the one that we want. So we're trying to use a dashboard that is still pretty close to the original dashboard, which is basically giving us the display, a little bit close here, giving us the display of the RPM counter, and it's in nice view within the steering wheel. Okay, so let's go check and see where we're at right now. So the brake bias is at 50%. So what I'm going to do is, after we've warmed up the tires a little bit, is to take the long straightaway that we have here at Button Willow, and under heavy braking, see if we are locking up the fronts or the rears. And you want to make sure that you do it under operating conditions. So warm up the tires, because you can get false information if you haven't warmed up your tires properly yet and you're doing it on cold tires. And then you'll find that once the tires get up to temperature, everything changes, and so you don't have the right brake bias balance. So I'm just taking it a little bit easy here, reestablishing myself with the proper racing line. Tricky corner this one is here. This one as well. You can easily overdrive the exit on this corner here and find yourself in the dirt. Okay, so here's the long straightaway that we want. Get a good exit, good clean exit onto the straightaway. So again, we're at 50%. Now we're not going to push it that hard yet because our tires are still a little bit cold. So I am braking a little bit earlier than I normally would there. And then the next lap around, we'll evaluate how the brakes feel. Okay, tires are probably feeling the heat. Okay. Little too much boost spooled up there. Okay, so let's start leaning on this car a little bit more now. Put the thing through the paces, again, because we want to make sure that we have the proper operating temperature. All right, so this time we are going to brake at our typical braking zone, which is generally that shadow that's there. Okay, I'm feeling the fronts locking up. So I felt the front brakes slightly locking up, which if I wanted to go a little bit deeper into the corner, that would have meant I would have went straight on. So let's try dialing in after this corner here. A little bit opposite lock coming out of there. Okay, we're going to dial it in to about 49. You see the number up top there. Okay, we're at 49% now. Let's see how the car reacts to that. Give it a little short chip. So still not happy with the gearing, but let's get the brake bias down first, and then we can start working on ensuring that we have the proper gears for the proper corners. Second gear feels a little too long for that hairpin. Okay, full throttle, eyes forward all the time. Don't focus on anything else but your brake mark here. Okay, that seems a little bit closer, but just to be on the safe side, I want to feel a little bit of wiggle in the rear under heavy braking. That's going to ensure to me that I know exactly where rear braking is. Whoops. I got a message here from my son, and that caused me to I don't know if you guys saw that there. I got a message from my son Giovanni. Okay, so let's keep going here. Keep hitting third. Okay, the rears are starting to feel a little bit slippery. Okay, one more time. Okay, this time I want to try to dial it down to 48.5. Let's see what happens. Okay, you can see there that the back end started to step out, so it looks like 49% is a good balance under these conditions. Okay, the helpfulness of this is that before you really get started on too many other things in the setup, in our opinion, this again in our opinion, but before you get started on too many things in the setup and looking at all the different combinations that you want to go through, make sure that you have equal braking front and rear, because you're going to be trying to identify brake marks. How deep can I go into these corners? And a lot of times people dial too much front braking because it feels safer. You want to put it into a little, if you're really trying to compete and find that last bit of time, is you want to make sure that, okay, I want to dial the rear braking, and we learned this from go-karts. I want to dial a little bit more rear braking each time until you start to feel that little wiggle in the rear, and then dial it back. Hopefully that helps. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time with a helpful tip that hopefully can help you guys have a little bit more fun and be more organized with your troubleshooting.